Welcome back to our channel, guys, and our shout out of the day goes to Victor Odhiambo. I really follow the comments and your feedback, very constructive. By the way, personally, politics is never personal, and so I take every feedback positive. Today, I wanted us to look at something that is going on after William Ruto and Musalia Mudavadi merger. Have you ever wondered what is the deal? What is being laid in public is a coalition of parties that have tandem in ideologies, parties that are converging because of the economy. But after the day rallies and maybe spending some time in the gym, they burn the midnight oil to work on a very critical document. A document that saw Raila Odinga part ways with Mwai Kibaki after the 2002 general election. A document that saw William Ruto parting ways with President Uhuru Kenyatta in the cabinet. The same document that saw National Super Alliance members really getting bitter with Raila Odinga after the 2007 general election. What is this document? This is the power sharing bill. For your information, guys, it is not an obligation. It is mandatory that coalition partners must submit this document to Registrar of Political Parties 6 months to general election. I think it's 4 months to general election. So this is there because it is what is going to help these people see how they are going to run the next government. So the question here is, after the entry of Musalia Mudavadi in UDA, what is the power sharing deal? And if you remember very well in Bomas, I think they mentioned that they're already setting up a technical committee that is coming up with this document. Then the principals shall just come back and ratify this. And for you to better understand the magnitude of a power sharing deal, let me at least take you back in some of the few recent documents that really people see how they work. And take you to 2001, when Raila Odinga joined government and he took his party and supported Moi. And in July the same year, that 2001, he was appointed the energy minister. Then the subsequent KANU Delegates Conference elected him the Secretary General of KANU, taking over from Joseph Kamodo. Now, Raila was doing that because he wanted KANU to endorse him for presidency. He actually wanted to vie with KANU. But to the surprise of many, Moi fronted the young Uhuru Kenyatta. And at that point, there was that mistrust. So Raila Odinga walked away with the LDP, National Liberal Party, and joined up the Mwai Kibaki's, the National Alliance Party of Kenya, the NAF. Now they formed the NAC coalition, the NAC coalition that produced Kibaki after the Kibaki Tosha. So the power sharing deal by Kibaki Tosha brought some issues because according to that deal, Kibaki was supposed to appoint Raila Odinga as a prime minister. This position was not in the cabinet, but he was supposed to use executive powers to appoint Raila. So that didn't happen. And he was also supposed to give Raila half of the cabinet slots. That didn't happen. Mwai Kibaki rather went and appointed other KANU leaders and Ford Kenya party leaders, leaders into the cabinet. Then there was the fallout in 2005, when now the referendum was done. And Raila Odinga walked away, and with the no campaign, and yes, happened up until 2007. The 2013 Uhuru Ruto deal, where I remember very well, there was the G7 alliance in 2012. The G7 alliance was grappling with how they could ensure that ICC does not interfere with internal political affairs of the country. And I think, for your information, the reason why Eugene Wamalwa can never be out of that cabinet or around President Uhuru Kenyatta's circle is because by then he was the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. He went to Tanzania and had a meeting with Jakaya Kikwete, and Jakaya Kikwete intervened, telling the ICC that they should not meddle on the internal affairs. After that, Uhuru died. Now, at that point, after Uhuru Ruto deal, they had the deputy and the president's post. The other post, Cherengani MP Joshua Kutuny, will then come out and say that the other issues zingine could be shared to other parties that were joining the URP, because it was then the URP TNA. And part of it was actually ones that are very conspicuous, because this deal, Jim Wanjigi says he normally has this document. And one of them that he points out is that Treasury was to go to William Ruto. I think finance also went to, Treasury was supposed to go William Ruto, the finance, and Uhuru took the security. That's why every appointee was security kwanga the side Uhuru. And of course, this is a very critical document that it must be at the pockets of the president. And so even when Rotich was removed from the Treasury, I think in 2019, over the corruption allegations, there were some real rumors that Uhuru Kenyatta was ejecting William Ruto's members from the cabinet. And these are underhand deals that really people never talk about. Look at the 2017, the Grand NASA fallout. The one that is very conspicuous are two. The political parties bill, political parties fund. NASA co-principals had a gentleman agreement on how they are going to share it. And when that money came out, there were issues that ODM did not keep that word. Even though, according to Constitution, the money that is supposed to go to national parties is 0.3% of the national revenue. But now Treasury changed it to 0.03%. And that is what is shared amongst the political parties. So when ODM party received it, I think it is supposed to be shared on how you perform the numbers, your strength in the National Assembly. Now, after the general election. And ODM had a tussle with NASA. Another one is the Raila Odinga's deal, that he was not going to vie in 2022, whatsoever the outcome of 2017. And so I was just taking that memory so that you understand the magnitude of this document. Now, I want us to look at Kenya Kwanza, William Ruto, and UDA and ANC. And I know it's still open to other parties, but just before you do that, if you're listening to this video, take a second and subscribe. Just subscribe and also like this video. You can also give us your feedback. And you can also tell us what you really want us also to touch on as now, because I normally say that it is a political opinion and perspective, not that everything is casted in stone. Now, guys, I want us to look at this deal. While we may not be privy to the finer details, but of course, learning from the past experiences, I want to just point out to you parameters and items in that document, and we try now to shape it up with this new alliance. Is one on the deputy president's post and government in the cabinet. So I think when the merger is two, where maybe like Uhuru Ruto side, Uhuru was to become the presidential candidate, then the running mate on this other side was Ruto, Then cabinet, I think they found a way. It was rumored that it was 50-50, although I cannot substantiate that. Now, that was viable because of the strength of both the parties. But now, let's try to look at it this way. If Musalia Mudavadi is given the running mate, then what is the percentage of cabinet that he can take? Very, very, very contentious. And I want to, as you ask that question, look at it also that one of the tenets, parameters, that is one thing that you check before you even say, I'm giving this person this and this person this, is the numbers on the table. How many numbers, registered voters in Western, as of now, as of 2017, 2021 mass voter registration, is a whopping 2.7 million, 2.4 million. Then Central Kenya, I think, I don't know of the last registration, but as of 2017 general election, they are in the tune of 4 million. So if you ask yourself, who has the numbers? That is question number one. Then from Central Kenya, who is bringing those numbers? So my own perception is this way. There are two aspects to this. Central Kenya, if they make that alliance with William Ruto, and I'm still asking, I don't know whether Central Kenya are going to negotiate with UDA as gentleman's agreement, or they must get a political party. And I think I opined in my previous video that they need a political party, because that is the vehicle where you negotiate. Now, if Mudavadi goes with the running mate, then do you think that the Central Kenya caucus can take 50%, not 50%, but probably 40% of cabinet or 30% of cabinet, then takes a huge chunk from ambassadors and head of parastatals? Ask about it. Or will they go for the running mate and take these other slots and reduce the stake at the cabinet? My perception is, my understanding is, they would rather go the other way, because some of those leaders from Central Kenya are also at the risk of losing the elective seats because of supporting William Ruto. So if they leave the running mate and they risk losing those seats, but William Ruto wins, then they can easily get to these parastatals in the cabinet. So that is number one, what you're bringing on table. Let's look at what ANC is bringing on table. ANC, as of now, have 11 members of parliament and 1 woman representative and 2 senators. That is Hanithi from Vihiga and Cleophas Malala from Kakamega. Ford Kenya have 10 members of parliament, 1 women representative, I think that is the Trans Nzoia, and 1 senator, who is the party leader, Moses Wetangula. However, this parameter might not tally against UDA, because UDA, I don't think they have tested, but just because of their strength, they can always find a way they can find a solution around this. That is one aspect that is coming. So if they look at strength, they'll also find out who will be given. Now, another issue that committee is also going to look at is who is funding the presidential campaigns. Who is funding the presidential campaigns? The truth of the matter is, I don't think Musalia Mudavadi has that capacity, and I don't have an evidence. But what I know is he's been out of the government since 2012. So if it is about putting together a big resource to mount a presidential campaign, I think William Ruto is the person who's going to finance those campaigns. Now, if I am financing the campaigns, it means I am the person taking the big risk. With the big risk, I have the big stake. What this shows is Mudavadi and Ford Kenya and any other party that is joining there must accept to swallow their pride. They must accept. And I think they will be willing for anything that they take. Let me tie this with this other rumor that is here, that Mudavadi's house in Karen was built by William Ruto and the NDC was funded by William Ruto. Okay, that is also there, but I don't think That was just to entice him so that he can come back, so that he can join him, if indeed it's true. But then I think that also makes Mudavadi be at disposal, at the mercies of the deputy president. Part of the other parties that might also join that alliance at a later stage might be given these positions of the Speaker of the Senate, Speaker of the National Assembly, Leader of Minority, Leader of Majority. I think these are not very key. People don't really look at them, but they are really other points of bargaining. For example, if you bring Moses Kuria, you can give Moses Kuria the Speaker of the Senate, and he supports you. And this is also helping to bounce back, to promise these other leaders that you can still back us, you can still support us in the event that you lose in your seat by risking to support us. What Kenneth, I think Kenneth Lusaka did. You can be given these positions. People like Eden Duale might just go back to the leader of majority, the National Assembly, and all this. And of course, they haven't enjoyed that. Part of it is also, I think, the parliamentary commissions, review committees, parliamentary committees. But again, that is also at the disposal of this. But that must not be in the political parties agreement. Now, another aspect that we need to look at is the political parties fund. This is what broke NASA. And I think one of the reasons why Mudavadi is so bitter with Raila, and Mudavadi and Kalonzo are talking about the politics of deceit, is that I think ODM garnered more seats in the National Assembly, and it was strong. But I think they had the gentleman's agreement on how they were going to share that money. And I remember Kalonzo saying that ODM became strong because of the coalition. And this is the culture. For example, now, Kalonzo said that ODM was strong because the coalition gave them the presidential candidate. Just the same example now, if the coalition gives Musalia Mudavadi the presidential candidate at the UDA-ANC alliance, then by default, UDA might actually garner more posts in the National Assembly, not UDA, ANC might garner more posts in the National Assembly and Senate compared to UDA. So this team must also break it down and find out how exactly they are going to share that money. That is normally at disposal. Lastly, another thing that I also need to mention is the term of the presidency. And the term of the presidency, you remember in 2013, it was Kumi Yangu Kumi Yako, and it was used actually to woo the two communities to rally behind these two fellas. But then whatever happened in 2017 after handshake is another story. So even at this, there is that agreement of how many terms is Ruto going, and if he's handing over to Musalia, how many terms? Is it Kumi? Think about it. Because that is also what happened in NASA. Raila was supposed to go 5 terms, only 1 term, 5 years, then hand over to another person. He was not going to vie. The coalition was going to pick another candidate. I think they're also going to look at the nomination criteria for the alliance, the two parties finally. ODM did regional zoning where some areas where ODM is strong, like in Nyanza, it will just be exclusively left out for them. In Ukambani, and that is why actually ODM in Western, that is one of the reasons why ODM in Western did not get many votes, did not get many elective seats, because it was some areas were handed over to ANC, and ANC was a weak party, so it was walishindwa na Jubilee. And that is why what costed them the Langata parliamentary seat, where they could not agree. And so ODM and Wiper filled the two candidates. Then Nixon Kororo, who was the Jubilee candidate, alipita katikati, and that's how he won. So I think also here they're also going to do zoning. Maybe areas of Bungoma, Vihiga, and Kakamega, they might really find out how they can negotiate and leave them to ANC. In Fort Kenya, take Bungoma and Trans Nzoia, where the party is strong. Then the other parts of the country, they figure out how they do. So part of this deal is also going to see how they share. Because if they make a risk here and it shambles up, then it's normally a very good door for your competitors to come and just snatch these seats from you. And that is why Jubilee really benefited for some contentious areas. Lastly is the gubernatorial races, some tight gubernatorial races. One is the one for the capital city. They will agree. Does the governor come from UDA or ANC? This will depend who has the strongest candidate. UDA has Margaret Wanjiru. ANC has Sakaja here. I think those are the two that have already come up. The same to Kakamega. ANC has Malala. ANC has Malala and UDA has Boni Khalwale. So they will have to look at also these other issues. So all this will be part of that power sharing deal. Now, not all this must go to register of political parties, but others will be the other gentleman's agreement in this. If you look at what I'm discussing, political parties fund, nomination, you look at power sharing, I'm telling you, the Central Kenya caucus that are in UDA can only negotiate on gentleman's agreement, and that one can always be betrayed. And of course, all these people are keen that they're normally betrayal. So the political parties bill, however, is going to fill some of these loopholes, and there will be no one will have a luxury of saying we are not doing this, we are not doing this. So guys, that's it. And you can also tell us, what do you think is going to happen? How are they going to share the power? Give us your perspective. And that was my analysis. On my next video, we are looking at Charity Ngilu, Kalonzo Musyoka, the politics of Ukambani. Who is going to Azimio, and how can Kalonzo get to Azimio?